I was foolish to spend time with him. I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him.
What if I told you that for years, some of the most powerful billionaires in the world were terrified by one man with a microphone? Not terrified because he worked for the government, not because he had secret agents or court subpoenas, but because he had a podcast. And now he's finally talking.
People recognizing what you are, who have political agendas, will infiltrate your and then start blowing out their radioactivity into the world.
For a long time, people have wondered why certain names never got pushed too hard on the biggest show in the world, why certain guests were treated gently, why some topics felt like they were tiptoed around instead of torn apart. But here's the twist. According to recent claims and behind-the-scenes conversations, Joe Rogan is done staying quiet, and he's allegedly naming the billionaires who tried to pressure him, influence him, and in some cases, silence him completely when it came to the explosive Jeffrey Epstein files.
I know a lot of people that met that guy. He got a lot of celebrities to come to his house for parties and things.
This isn't just about interviews. This isn't just about awkward questions. This is about power, fear, and what really happens when the richest people on Earth don't like what you might say. And what nobody expected was that Joe would finally push back.
Here's a deeper point, man. And I don't mean to do this every time I'm on, but you have such a crazy power that if you're not careful, folks from deep, dark wells of perspective are going to infiltrate your.
Before all of this drama, before the headlines and the file drops, Joe Rogan was just a stand-up comic who loved conversations. He wasn't polished, he wasn't scripted, he wasn't trying to be CNN or Fox News. He was just a guy with a mic who liked to ask questions. Back in the early days of the broadcast, long before the Spotify deal, long before billionaires lined up to sit across from him, Joe's show felt raw, real, unfiltered. People tuned in because it felt like eavesdropping on honest conversations. And then something changed. The show grew and grew and grew. Soon, it wasn't just comedians and fighters. It was tech moguls, hedge fund managers, political insiders, Silicon Valley giants. The room got more expensive.
I think a lot of it was this strange commentary on, I know there was some secret club, secret society you could be part of.
Joe built a reputation as the guy who wasn't afraid to ask anything. He questioned mainstream media. He challenged pharmaceutical companies. He called out politicians on both sides. But here's where things get complicated. As the Jeffrey Epstein scandal exploded across the world and more documents were released connecting powerful figures to Epstein's social circles, viewers started noticing something. Certain guests weren't being pressed, certain connections weren't explored, and whispers began circulating behind the scenes. Whispers that some billionaires weren't just requesting soft treatment, they were demanding it.
Well, how could you have known back then? He had never been arrested.
No, this was 2014. It was post-arrest.
Now, here's where the story takes a darker turn. According to insiders and discussions Joe has alluded to, multiple high-profile guests allegedly reached out before appearing on the show. Not casually, not politely, strategically. They didn't just want a good conversation, they wanted protection. One name that keeps floating around these discussions is Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel, billionaire investor, PayPal co-founder, political power player, a man deeply connected in tech and finance circles.
A lot of people. I know a lot of people that met that guy.
When Thiel appeared on the podcast, many expected fireworks. After all, his name had surfaced in conversations about elite networking circles that overlapped with Epstein's world. But what happened? The interview felt light, polite, safe. Joe didn't drill down, he didn't hammer him, and at the time, fans brushed it off. But here's what nobody knew. Behind the scenes, according to production sources, there were alleged requests about keeping certain topics brief.
Epstein's name reportedly appeared on that list. Now, Joe has never publicly admitted to taking money for silence. There's no confirmed proof of envelopes sliding across tables.
People love those stupid things. They love like exclusive clubs that very few people. Look at the fucking Soho House.
But what he has hinted at recently is this: powerful people absolutely try to control narratives. And it didn't stop with Thiel. Another name that keeps coming up, Elon Musk.
But known Epstein clients, who are obviously extremely powerful, they're powerful politically and very wealthy, are Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, and Reid Hoffman, and some others too.
Elon has been on Joe's show multiple times. Their episodes went viral. Remember the infamous smoking moment? The laughs, the casual tone? But here's the twist. When fresh Epstein-related documents started circulating again, Musk's old emails and social connections were dragged back into the spotlight. Nothing criminal proven, but enough to raise questions. And yet, during follow-up appearances, Joe didn't bring it up. Why? Critics say it was favoritism. Supporters say Joe didn't want to turn every conversation into a courtroom.
Good to have you. I have enjoyed your restaurant many times.
But recently, Joe has suggested something bigger. He implied that certain billionaire teams come with conditions. Not threats, at least not obvious ones, but subtle pressure. Let's keep this focused on innovation. Let's not revisit old gossip. We're here to talk about the future. And when someone controls billions of dollars, future opportunities, sponsorship pipelines, that suggestion carries weight. But here's what nobody expected. Joe is now allegedly saying he saw the pattern, and he didn't like it. He reportedly told close circles that multiple elites attempted to guide conversations before stepping into his studio. Some even tried building personal relationships first: dinners, private invites, introductions through mutual friends.
I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him. Every minute I spent with him, I regret.
And according to leaked discussions, at least two powerful figures allegedly floated the idea of connecting Joe directly with Epstein before the second arrest. Think about that. They didn't just want him neutral, they wanted him inside the circle. Now imagine the pressure. You're the biggest podcaster on Earth. Billionaires are offering access, influence, connections, and you're supposed to just ignore that? Joe didn't take the meeting. At least, there's no evidence he did. But what's haunting is this: they thought he would. That's the part that changes everything, because it suggests they believed he was persuadable. Control wasn't always about money. Sometimes it was about ego, about proximity to power, about feeling included in elite rooms. But here's where Joe's tone reportedly shifted. After the newest wave of Epstein file discussions reignited public anger, Joe started addressing the elephant in the room more directly. He didn't drop criminal accusations, he didn't shout conspiracies, but he did something subtle. He acknowledged that billionaires absolutely try to shape media narratives. He admitted that powerful guests often request boundaries, and he hinted that he regrets not pushing harder in certain moments. That's not a confession.
I know a lot of people that met that guy. He got a lot of celebrities to come to his house for parties and things.
But it's not nothing either. What nobody expected was Joe stepping into uncomfortable territory, even slightly, and naming figures like Thiel when discussing elite influence culture. Not accusing them of crimes, but calling out the system, calling out the soft power, calling out the pressure. And that's where the real tension lives. Because once you admit that billionaires try to silence discussions, people start asking who succeeded. Was Joe compromised? Was he starstruck? Or was he simply navigating a machine bigger than himself? The internet is split. Some say he sold out the moment Spotify handed him a massive contract. Others argue that surviving in media at that level requires compromise. But Joe's recent shift suggests something deeper. He
he seems frustrated. Frustrated at the elite circles, frustrated at media hypocrisy, frustrated that the Epstein story still feels unfinished. And here's the emotional part that often gets overlooked. Joe built his brand on skepticism, on challenging institutions, on questioning narratives. If he ever felt manipulated, that hits at his core identity. Imagine realizing that the same power structures you criticize are quietly trying to influence you. Imagine knowing your audience trusts you and wondering if you've disappointed them. That weighs heavy, because beyond the fame and the money, Joe has always framed himself as the curious outsider. But when billionaires are knocking at your door, offering friendship and influence, staying an outsider becomes harder. And that's where the emotional toll starts creeping in. The fallout hasn't just been online debates. There's reportedly tension in certain elite circles now. Some former friendly connections are colder. Invitations have slowed. Communications have shifted. When you start even hinting that powerful people tried to control you, they don't clap back publicly. They distance themselves. And Joe has noticed. Viewers have noticed too. His tone when discussing elite power feels sharper now, less amused, more direct. He may not be exposing secret tapes, he may not be releasing documents, but he's signaling something. He's signaling that he knows how the game works now and that he's not as interested in playing it quietly anymore. The emotional impact of this isn't just about headlines. It's about trust.
His audience trusted him to be fearless, to ask the uncomfortable questions. If he feels he held back in the past, that realization is personal. It affects how you look in the mirror. It affects how you sit behind that microphone. And maybe, just maybe, that's why he's starting to speak more openly about media manipulation, elite influence, and narrative control. Because silence feels heavier than backlash. At the end of the day, this story isn't just about Joe Rogan. It's about power. It's about what happens when billionaires don't want their names associated with a scandal that shook the world. It's about how influence works quietly, through suggestions, through access, through unspoken rules. And it's about a man who built his empire by questioning everything, realizing that even he isn't immune to pressure. But here's the thing, naming the system, even without burning it down, changes the energy. It tells powerful people you're not blind anymore. And maybe that's the real story, not whether Joe took money, not whether certain guests were handled softly, but whether he's finally choosing independence over access. Because once you admit that billionaires tried to silence you, you can't go back to pretending they didn't. So the question now isn't who tried to control the narrative. The question is, what happens next? Will more names surface? Will conversations get tougher? Will elite guests think twice before walking into that studio? One thing's for sure, the silence doesn't feel comfortable anymore. And when the world's biggest podcaster starts hinting that he almost got pulled into something bigger than himself, that's when the real drama begins.